A 6'6" forward who can drain threes at a 38% clip just posted herself wearing an Indiana Fever jersey on Instagram. Here's the thing, she's never actually suited up for Indiana. Not in a preseason game, not in a scrimmage, not even in a promotional event. Every other jersey in that post represented a chapter of her career, teams she'd already played for. But the Fever jersey? That was different. That was a message. Azura Stevens isn't being subtle anymore. She's been dropping hints for months now, responding to fans who beg her to come to Indianapolis, engaging with posts that Photoshop her into the blue and gold. She's doing everything except holding a press conference to announce she wants to play with Caitlin Clark. And here's what makes this absolutely wild: the Indiana Fever might be one signing away from transforming into a legitimate championship contender, and that signing is practically gift-wrapped and sitting on their doorstep. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. If the front office doesn't make this happen, they could be looking back at this moment as the biggest missed opportunity in franchise history. Stevens isn't just available, she's interested, she's qualified, and she's exactly what Indiana needs. Let's break down why this move is so crucial. It's almost painful to think about it not happening. Before we dive into why this potential move has Fever fans losing their minds, let's talk about who Azura Stevens actually is, because if you only know her as that tall player from the Sparks, you're missing the full picture. Stevens came out of UConn as the 6th overall pick in 2018, drafted by Dallas. She made the all-rookie team that year, showing immediate promise. But what really sets her apart from other solid role players is something you can't teach: championship experience. Back in 2021, she was a key piece when the Chicago Sky won the WNBA title. She knows what a championship locker room feels like. She understands the pressure of playoff basketball and how to perform when everything's on the line. Fast forward to 2025, and Stevens just put together the best season of her entire career with the Los Angeles Sparks. We're talking 12.8 points per game, 8 rebounds, over 2 assists, plus defensive contributions, with 1.2 steals and 1.1 blocks per contest. Those are solid numbers on their own, but here's the stat that should make every Fever fan sit up straight. She shot 38% from beyond the arc. Think about that for a second. A player who stands 6'6", who can protect the rim and crash the boards, is also knocking down nearly 4 out of every 10 three-pointers she attempts. In today's WNBA, that's not just valuable, it's borderline rare. You're talking about someone who can switch onto smaller, quicker guards on the perimeter defensively, then turn around and punish teams for sagging off by drilling threes on offense. She's not just a stretch big, she's a legitimate two-way weapon who doesn't need the ball in her hands to impact winning. She thrived as a complementary piece in Los Angeles, never needing to be the primary or even secondary option. She did her job, filled her role perfectly, and put up career numbers doing it. That's the kind of player championship teams are built around. That's the kind of player Indiana desperately needs. And that player is currently sending every signal imaginable that she wants to be in Indianapolis. Azura Stevens hasn't exactly been playing coy about her interest in the Indiana Fever, and honestly, it's kind of remarkable how clear she's been without outright saying the words. It started back in January 2026, when she was down in Miami, playing in the second season of Unrivaled. Fever fans flooded her social media, telling her she needed to come to Indianapolis, that she'd be perfect alongside Caitlin Clark. Most players would ignore that kind of thing, or drop a generic "appreciate the love" response. Stevens? She started engaging. Eye emojis, likes on comments, replies that got fans buzzing. Then things escalated. A fan posted a photoshopped image of Stevens in a Fever jersey and tagged her. Instead of scrolling past, she responded with what fans described as an intrigued reaction, fueling speculation even more. Another fan commented that the jersey would look even better if she actually played in it. Her response sent Fever Nation into an absolute frenzy. But the most telling moment came just recently. Stevens posted a series of photos on Instagram, showing herself in different WNBA jerseys, teams she'd played for throughout her career. Dallas was there, Chicago was there. The Sparks were represented. And then there was the Indiana Fever jersey, the only team in that entire collection she's never actually played for. Every other jersey was a tribute to her past. The Fever jersey was something else entirely, a glimpse at what could be her future. Fans immediately started dissecting the post, noticing that she added a specific reaction to the Fever photo that didn't appear on any of the others. It wasn't accidental, it wasn't random, it was deliberate. People started comparing what her arrival could mean to the impact DeWanna Bonner had when she joined Indiana. Some debated whether that comparison was fair, but the overwhelming sentiment was clear. This needs to happen. Stevens isn't leaving breadcrumbs anymore. She's laying out a full trail of neon signs pointing directly at Indianapolis. The question isn't whether she's interested. The question is whether Indiana's front office is paying attention and ready to act on it before another team swoops in and makes this decision for them. Let's talk about what the Indiana Fever went through in 2025, because context matters here. They dealt with a level of adversity that would have broken most teams. Caitlin Clark, the franchise player and the most popular athlete in women's basketball, went down with a groin injury in mid-July and never returned, gone for half the season. Their number one option, their engine, sidelined. But the Fever didn't fold. Sophie Cunningham went down with a knee injury. Sydney Colson tore her ACL. Erica Wheeler fractured her foot. At one point, Indiana had 6 players on the injured list. They cycled through 18 different players over the course of the season. Their starting lineup changed almost every single night, and somehow they still made the playoffs. They beat Atlanta in the first round, notching their first playoff series win since 2015. Then they pushed the Las Vegas Aces, a team loaded with all-stars and championship pedigree, to 5 games in the semifinals before finally being eliminated. It was gutsy. It showed heart, culture, and coaching. It proved this team has something special brewing. But heart alone doesn't win championships. You need talent in the right spots. You need pieces that fit together like a puzzle. And Indiana has one glaring hole that's been obvious since Caitlin Clark arrived. They need a stretch 4. They need someone who can protect the rim and grab rebounds without clogging the paint. They need a forward who doesn't take away driving lanes from Clark, but instead spaces the floor so defenses can't collapse on her every time she attacks. Natasha Howard started at the 4 last season and did a solid job, but she's a prime candidate to leave in free agency. That position has been a revolving door since Clark got to town. They've tried different combinations, different rotations, and nothing has quite clicked. Azura Stevens is the answer. She's the fit they've been searching for. Imagine Caitlin Clark running the offense with a 6'6" sharpshooter standing at the three-point line ready to punish defenses that overcommit. Imagine Aaliyah Boston dominating inside while Stevens spaces the floor and keeps the paint open. This isn't just about adding a good player. It's about adding the exact player this roster needs to unlock its full potential. Caitlin Clark averaged 18.5 points and 8.5 assists per game across her first 2 WNBA seasons. She's one of the best passers the league has ever seen, capable of threading needles and creating scoring opportunities out of thin air. But here's the thing about being a generational passer. It only works if you have players around you who can convert those opportunities into points. What good is Clark's vision if there's no one in the right spots to capitalize? What good is her gravity if defenses can collapse without consequence? Picture this starting 5. Caitlin Clark, running point, orchestrating everything with her ridiculous court vision and deep range. Kelsey Mitchell next to her, the veteran scorer who proved during last year's playoffs that she can carry an offense when needed. Lexi Hull on the wing, a defensive specialist who can knock down threes and guard multiple positions. Aaliyah Boston at center, the former #1 pick and 3-time All-Star, dominating the paint and the glass. And then at the 4, Azura Stevens, 6'6", shooting 38% from 3, protecting the rim with over a block per game, grabbing 8 boards a night, switching onto guards on defense when needed. That's not just a competitive lineup. That's a nightmare for opposing teams. Defenses wouldn't be able to double Clark without leaving Stevens wide open beyond the arc. They couldn't pack the paint on Boston because Stevens would punish them from distance. They couldn't exploit mismatches because Stevens has the length and mobility to guard positions 1 through 5. Every gap in Indiana's current roster gets filled with this one move. Every weakness gets addressed. And here's the beautiful part. Stevens doesn't need the ball to be effective. She thrived in Los Angeles as a complementary piece, never demanding to be the focal point. She understands her role: space the floor, protect the rim, crash the boards, make the right play. That's exactly what Indiana needs next to Clark and Boston. Not another ball-dominant player, but someone who makes everyone else better by doing the little things at an elite level. The fit is so obvious, it almost feels too good to be true. Stevens checks every single box. She solves every problem. The question is whether Indiana's front office recognizes that before it's too late. Chemistry isn't something you can manufacture overnight. It takes time, shared experiences, and trust built through competition. That's why the connection Azura Stevens already has with key Fever players is such a massive advantage. During the first season of Unrivaled, Stevens played alongside Lexi Hull on Rose, BC. They didn't just play together, they won the whole thing. Stevens put up 19 points and 18 rebounds in the championship game, dominating when it mattered most. She and Hull developed an understanding of each other's games, learned each other's tendencies, built trust on both ends of the floor. Then, in Unrivaled's second season, Stevens got traded to Hive, BC, where she teamed up with Kelsey Mitchell. That's two different Fever players she's already shared a competitive environment with, two teammates she's already built rapport with in high-pressure situations. This isn't some abstract concept of maybe they'll mesh well. This is proven, tangible chemistry that would translate immediately to the WNBA season. Hull knows how Stevens moves off the ball. Mitchell understands her spacing and timing. They've already done the work of learning to play together. That kind of foundation is invaluable when you're trying to integrate a new piece into a championship-caliber roster. There's no awkward adjustment period, no feeling-out process that eats up the first month of the season. Stevens would step into Indiana's system already knowing how to play with two of their key rotation players. She'd understand the pace they like to play at, the spots they like to operate from, the types of reads they make. And in a league where the regular season is only 40 games and every win matters for playoff positioning, that immediate chemistry could be the difference between a 3 seed and a 6 seed. Beyond the on-court fit, there's something to be said for relationships off the court too. Stevens isn't walking into a locker room full of strangers. She's joining former teammates, people she's competed with and won with. That comfort level matters. It helps with team cohesion, with communication, with building the kind of culture that championship teams need. Indiana already has a strong foundation with Clark, Boston, and Mitchell. Adding Stevens someone who already has connections within that core would only strengthen it. The pieces aren't just fitting together on paper. They're already connected in ways that matter. Anytime a team considers signing a veteran player, the doubters come out. With Azura Stevens, the concerns are predictable. First up, age. Stevens is 30 years old, and critics will say she's past her prime, that Indiana should focus on younger options. Here's the problem with that argument. Did those people actually watch the 2025 season? Stevens just posted the best numbers of her entire career. 12.8 points, 8 boards, 38% from 3. Those aren't the stats of someone declining. Those are the stats of a player peaking at exactly the right moment. 30 isn't old in the WNBA. Diana Taurasi played elite basketball into her 40s. Sue Bird was running point for Seattle at 41. DeWanna Bonner came to Indiana at 34 and became one of the team's most impactful players. Stevens has at least 3 to 4 elite years left in the tank, and those years happen to line up perfectly with the Fever's championship window. Clark and Boston are on rookie contracts. Mitchell just proved she can lead a team deep into the playoffs. The window is open right now, and Stevens fits directly into that timeline. Then there's the injury history. Fair point. Stevens has dealt with injuries before. A foot issue in 2019, a knee problem in 2020, arm surgery that cost her the first half of 2024. But she came back healthy in 2025 and played 44 games for the Sparks, looking as good as she's ever looked. Injuries are worth monitoring, sure, but they shouldn't be a deal breaker for a player of this caliber at this price point. Every veteran comes with some injury history. What matters is whether they can stay on the court when it counts, and Stevens proved last season that she can. Finally, some will say Indiana should just draft a younger player with their 10th pick in 2026. Here's the reality. Rookies take time. They go through growing pains. They need development. Indiana's championship window isn't 3 years from now. It's right now. You don't waste a window waiting for a rookie to figure things out. You bring in a proven veteran who's already won a title, who knows what championship basketball looks like, and who can contribute immediately. That's exactly what Azura Stevens offers. Azura Stevens is going to be one of the most sought-after free agents on the market, and Indiana isn't the only team circling. The Connecticut Sun could use her versatility in the front court. The Seattle Storm are always looking for pieces to stay competitive. Even the Chicago Sky, where Stevens won her championship back in 2021, might make a push to bring her back. There's going to be competition. Multiple teams are going to call. Some might even offer more money. But Indiana has something none of those other teams can match: Caitlin Clark. And playing with Caitlin Clark isn't just a basketball opportunity, it's a brand opportunity, a visibility opportunity, a chance to compete on the biggest stage in women's basketball every single night. The Fever led the entire WNBA in attendance last season. Their games drew millions of viewers on television. Being a Fever player means being in the national spotlight in a way that no other team in the league can offer right now. Every game is an event. Every performance gets noticed. Stevens has been in the league long enough to understand what that means. She's played for teams that struggled to fill arenas. She's been part of rosters that barely got media coverage outside their own city. She knows what it's like to play in relative obscurity despite putting up solid numbers. Indiana offers the opposite of that. It offers relevance, exposure, and the chance to be part of something historic. Clark is building something special in Indianapolis, and everyone can see it. The culture is right. The pieces are coming together. The front office is committed to winning. And based on everything Stevens has been putting out on social media, the jersey posts, the fan interactions, the not-so-subtle hints, she sees it too. She wants to be part of it. She's making that as clear as a player can, without violating tampering rules. Connecticut might offer stability. Seattle might offer a veteran-laden roster. Chicago might offer familiarity. But Indiana offers a chance to play with the most electrifying player in women's basketball, in front of sold-out crowds every night, with a real shot at competing for championships. That's the edge Indiana has, and if the front office plays it right, that edge should be more than enough to get this deal done. Here's where we are. Azura Stevens just had the best season of her career. She's dropping obvious hints that she wants to play in Indianapolis, and the Indiana Fever have a glaring roster need that she fills perfectly. The championship window is open right now, with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston on rookie deals, Kelsey Mitchell playing at an elite level, and a culture that proved it can compete even through devastating injuries. Stevens isn't just a nice addition. She's the missing piece that could turn a semifinal team into a legitimate title contender. She's a 6'6" stretch 4 who shot 38% from 3 last season, who can protect the rim, who already has chemistry with key Fever players from Unrivaled, and who has championship experience. Free agency opens soon, and every day that passes is another opportunity for a rival team to swoop in. The front office can't hesitate. The player is interested. The fit is perfect. The timing is right. If Indiana lets this one slip away, they might look back on it as the biggest missed opportunity in franchise history. Azura Stevens is ready to be a Fever player. Now, it's up to the front office to make it happen. Stay locked with my channel Simply Explained for more updates.